They watched Taken, and they're like,
wow.
Mom's like, Dad does not have months to go look for you.
I remember her saying that. I don't remember the story, but I absolutely remember her saying that.
She was like, he has a business to run. He doesn't have months to go looking for you in Thailand. Well, we're back at the infamous marble table. I have a coaster underneath my glass. Chandler has lost the coaster war completely.
I'm not even bothering to, wet my whistle while I'm here.
You know what? I think that is a great policy. Leave no trace.
Trace.
That's what I want you to feel like you should do every time you exit this apartment. Campground rule, leave it better than you found it, baby. You are 3 weeks away from your wedding. How's your mental state? How's your physical state? Tell us everything.
Physical state, great.
Okay.
Feeling like I'm locked in. I just need to hold steady.
Okay.
I need to just keep the plane at a cruising altitude. Mm-hmm. I need nothing to go terribly wrong. I need no cystic acne to come my way.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And then I think starting after this week, I will start to shelter in place.
You will. So
yeah.
You are going to quarantine, like I suggested.
I'm going to shelter in place for sure. But yeah, after this weekend, we have one big party, thing to go to this weekend. And then after that, the social engagements are going to start to die down. Mm-hmm. And it's really time for us to hunker down. I need to finish writing my vows. Just going into my mental state. I'm waking up a little earlier every day, feeling a little bit like stressed, like there's more and more to do. But overall, I am okay. I'm not. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? How do you think I am? I guess because I'm like, I can't really say much more beyond the fact that I think I am okay.
I think you're doing great. I think that basically almost everything is done. Mm-hmm. I think all I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Yes.
So you seem like you're doing great to me.
I'm doing good. I just need nothing to go wrong.
One thing you said, which I think will resonate, and I think we have talked about, is you're excited you said this when you were talking to me earlier today. You're like, I'm excited to not be worried about about looking my best. Like, I'm just so ready for that worry to be over.
Come May 3rd, May 4th, this shit is hitting the fan.
Oh, let it all go.
I am just we've had a long engagement. We've been dating for a long time. I've been pulling out all the stops for a minute here, and I'm ready to just sort of let go, let God. And yeah, I'm potentially considering dyeing my hair darker.
Oh, okay.
I'm considering, cutting it in a crazy way. Mm-hmm. I've got big plans for my low maintenance look after this.
Yeah, because it's been a high maintenance couple months.
It's been a high maintenance couple months. It's been a high maintenance life.
That's true.
So yeah. Anyway, I do have something kind of cute to show you.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a surprise.
Okay.
Because I did a little bit of digging yesterday.
Okay.
I want to do something with what I'm about to show you. But I just thought it might be kind of cute to go down memory lane for a second. Okay, so everyone, I'm going to play for you a Patreon from January 25th, 2021.
Not an entire, a clip.
A clip, yeah. No, we're just going to recut this episode.
Wow, we're really working soft today. We have about a 40-minute Patreon we're going to play you.
And we'll just put this clip in here. Okay, we'll see you on the other side. No. Okay, everyone listen to this. This is January 25th, 2021.
I will say with tight-lipped, because you never know what happens, but I went on a very special first date.
Oh, you did?
Okay, so before you say, oh, you did, you and I have been casually chatting about how I'm considering the idea of spending a month in New York. That summer.
We were talking about that on the podcast.
I mean, do you want me to play that part?
No, but were those plans related to this?
It's just, it's hilarious that I thought people couldn't see right through this. Because listen.
Let me tell you this. So I went on, it was a great first date. We're going to see what happens. But yeah, we'll see. I'm very excited.
When are you going on next?
Soon. Sooner than you'd think.
Okay, cool. Where does the person live?
The person lives on the other side of the country.
Oh, maybe New York, where you want to get an Airbnb for a month?
The thing is,
I see right through this little wanderlust plan that you thought you'd hatch.
No, Lauren, the thing is, the truth is of the matter that I was talking about this before the first date.
People leave New York in the summer. They don't go to it. But continue.
But I did think about this before the first date.
Thought about moving to his city for a month.
It would be an added bonus.
Date. It's a little bit stalkerish.
An added bonus, okay? It would be a bonus, but we'll see. No one knows what's going to happen, There's still months to go. But yeah.
Well, very excited for you. Happy to monitor that's the right word, or
Yeah.
hear how this relationship continues to blossom.
We'll see
and
how it
unfold.
evolves. We don't know.
Okay, so that was January 25th. Our first date was January 16th.
Okay.
So what was that 9 days later that I'm talking about
Spending
potentially moving to his city?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that is psychotic.
Yeah. I mean, I do remember thinking that was something I wanted to do, but like after meeting him, I was like, that wouldn't be so bad. Even if we were going to break up, I was like, I want, this could be fun. Okay, so the next clip I'm going to play for you is from February 1st. So a mere 5 days later. All right.
Okay, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
So I woke up to a photo you had sent me
Yes.
of the two of you.
Yeah.
And it just felt really right looking at it. Like I almost wanted to make it my screensaver. Is that weird? But it's just felt really right.
I know. It's just, yeah. I mean, I did actually tell him that I talked about him on the Patreon. And he was like, he made a joke about this being some long con for me to like get him to subscribe to the Patreon. Like,
oh, that's funny. $24.99 a month or nothing.
Right. I offered him the $7.99 tier. We're going to see if he signs up. Probably, actually, I will never let him sign up.
Yeah,
but
let's block him.
Everything's going really well. I don't want to like jinx anything, but it's also really sweet because we are 100% on the exact same page. And that's like very clear to me.
That is so incredible. Okay, so you're basically saying you are off the charts happy, and that's basically where you want to leave it because you're feeling a little protective.
I'm feeling a little protective. While it was like the perfect weekend. It was the perfect like 2nd through 47th date.
Well, I'm glad that it went so well. All right, let's move on to other questions.
I had been wanting to go back on our Patreon and like look at some of the first like times that I talked about him. And I also wanted to do that because that was the origin story of Mr. New York, which is why on my Bachelorette New York City night this weekend, my sash said Mrs. New York.
Which I honestly did not put together.
I know. And I think people are also like maybe slightly confused.
So when you said, did you see what my sash said? And I said, yeah, Mrs. New York. So cute. I just thought in my head, like pageant themed, like totally cool. Or like she lives in New York City. She's about to be a Mrs. She's Mrs. New York. But that's the origin story. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is so cute.
Isn't that sweet?
It's also very sweet to hear how smitten you were. Yeah. And I feel like you guys, to all the girls out there dating, to all the men, we're not exclusionary, to every person, anyone with ears listening to this show, that is how you should feel. You should feel like we are on the exact same page.
And it really was like that from the jump.
You shouldn't have to wonder. Any guy or any girl who's making you wonder, most likely it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll fill in a few little context things. So we went on our first date in Utah, and then 2 weeks later he flew out to San Francisco for like our second date, which is why you were teasing me like, when are you seeing him again? And that's why I was like, it was our 2nd through our 47th date.
Yeah, why did you say that? Because spent a weekend
we
together?
Like made those jokes because we spent then like a weekend together.
Gotcha.
After our first date.
Yeah.
And we both we just had a moment on that weekend where it was like, this is crazy. Oh. So anyway, it was really sweet to hear those recordings because I've totally forgotten about them. And then I played them for him last night.
What a special memory. I'm so jealous because I don't have any of those because obviously when we started the pod, I was already...
Were you already engaged?
I was...
No.
I was 6 months away from being engaged, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we talk about the celebs in our world? Let's get into this Blake Lively donut shop situation. Okay, so last week, everyone, Blake Lively rocked up to Rise Donuts in Wilton to take part in a strange PR stunt that she shared on her social media accounts in a video showing her making donuts at the shop. She wrote alongside the video, "Back with genius good friends in their kitchen mixer the size of a car. That is what my happy place looks like." Well, all of this just seemed like another run-of-the-mill celebrity appearance for social media attention, which it received. What it ended as was a chance for those who are not exactly playing for Team Lively in her ongoing legal disputes with Justin Baldoni to somehow believe that the best way to respond to this was to lodge a wave of complaints against the donut shop with the Wilton Health Department. As reported by TMZ, complaints of Lively working in the company's kitchen without the appropriate hairnet in place saw an investigation being launched into the business. following reports of Lively posing a health risk by working in Rise Donut's kitchen without a hairnet, potentially distributing strands of her golden hair over the glossy sweet treats like sugar strands, Wilton Health Department were required to visit the establishment to ensure that the, quote, disgusting and, quote, unsanitary practices were not being carried out on the premises. Woo! Talk about a witch hunt.
I think this is insane.
Yeah.
People should not be attacking a small business, a small donut shop business, because Blake Lively decided to have a PR moment there.
Right.
All of her PR things at this point definitely feel manufactured and like she's trying to, win back favor, from everyone. But to attack this small business and like report it to the health department or whatever, I just need to speak to everyone, on Team Justin right now. You're making us look bad.
Yes.
It's making us look like we cannot, see the forest from the trees or whatever, some type of expression like that.
Right.
Let's just stick to the facts. Let's stick to the things that are actually important and, actually worth being upset about in this case.
Let's actually only lob our complaints against the named people in this lawsuit, not the mom and pop owners of this donut shop. Also, let me just say, I have firsthand experience in food service, okay? Worked at Pete's Coffee and Tea, worked as a server for a while. Both of those jobs, I did not have to have my hair up. You can have your hair half back.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I don't think I always wore my hair up either.
Her hair is fully down, which does seem to me like a little bit over the line.
We'll say her hair is quite.
Yeah, and it is very voluminous.
It's like, it's there's I'm not going to say it, but, it could be in the air. It could be airborne.
For sure.
Very easily.
No, and I think that she should have shown a little restraint and tied her hair back, but it's like, of all the complaints against Blake Lively, is that the hill I want to die on?
Right. If you want to comment that on the Instagram of hers, go for it. But to complain to the health department.
That's when, honestly, these are people who really should be like evaluated by mental health professionals.
I do not claim them.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's the people calling the Wilton Health Department, they're the people who spend all their time online obsessed about people they don't know.
And that's what makes me think, like, is there some level of bots or just like, are there people in a large room filled with computers, in another country doing this?
Just doing so is this basically, were these people hired by Jen Abel?
I don't know. Or maybe they weren't hired. I'm not sure. But I feel like, who has the time to call the health department? I mean, I feel like you'd have to be on hold for quite a while with something like that. I don't know.
I think even we have learned with our very small scale podcast that there are some real wackos out there.
Yeah, it's true.
So I can't even imagine at Blake Lively's level. I 100% believe these are U.S. citizens, adults who...
These are patriots.
Literally. These are people who have social security numbers and who pay taxes.
Yeah.
Who use their own telephone numbers to call the Wilton Health Department. And it's not a good look for our country.
It's not.
If you're looking to get more protein in your life and you want to do it in a gorgeous way where the taste is delicious and you actually look forward to the protein shake or the protein drink, look no further than the brand Clean Simple Eats. It's our protein Bible for Pop Apologists.
The Simply Vanilla literally tastes so good. It tastes like ice cream when it's blended with just water or milk. It's perfect.
Add a little peanut butter. It'll taste like the best dessert. I also, of course, everyone knows I'm obsessed with the clear protein. I have 1 to 2 cans a day. It bumps my protein up by 20 or 40 grams. It is just the easiest way to grab some extra protein from the fridge and not mess up my kitchen. Clean Simple Eats is truly the brand to go to for all of your protein needs.
Everyone, go to cleansimpleeats.com and use code POPAPOLOGIST for 10% off your order.
cleansimpleeats.com, use code Pop Apologists, grab a bag of the chocolate brownie batter protein powder, and I swear it will taste like a Wendy's Frosty. It tastes like a dessert, okay, but it's good for you. Clean, grass-fed protein.
Lauren, you know how we've been on a dead run for like the last week?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just tell you that thank God I had early bird to, help me unwind after the craziest 7 days. I took a full gummy and was able to literally knock out in the best way possible.
They're so effective at just making your brain melt away. All of a sudden, like the rush of an internal monologue, all your anxiety, all the stuff you're stressing about, it just kind of gets muted and it just kind of like mushes away and you can truly fall asleep. It's incredible.
They're simply perfect. I love taking a half if I'm going to, unwind and watch a show. A full one is maybe more when I'm just looking to, fully go to sleep. And they do a perfect job every single time.
I will say a single bottle will last me a really long time because a half does wonders. I usually only take a half. I highly recommend going to earlybirdcbd.com using code POP20 for 20% off.
Moving on.
Yes.
Out of our country, though. Moving on to another country, Thailand.
Gosh. We need to discuss the White Lotus finale. What do you think?
I loved it.
You loved it.
I mean, it was dark. I didn't see any of the twists coming. I did not see the family homicide angle happening.
Yeah.
Which obviously didn't actually happen, but like I did not see that coming. I thought there was like a great misdirect happening with, everyone thinking that the dad was going to do something to himself. I think my favorite part was the way that the trio like kind of ended things. I feel like that whole storyline just spoke to the complexity of lifelong female friendship, that has its moments that are petty and competitive and not great, but really at its best. And what it really is the majority of the time, it's the safest place in the world. And it is like meaningful, and it's relationships with people who have known you forever. And I think that like women have a way of moving through tough moments together and emerging and being closer than ever. And I think that's what we saw at the end of it. And I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I wish that I had seen a little bit more vulnerability between the women. Like I wish there was a little bit more soul bearing.
I feel like that only happened at the end.
Yeah, but it seemed like it only happened with Carrie Coon's character.
I feel like the one from Texas, she's talking about my garden is in bloom. I don't know.
Yeah, but that was like, she was talking about how her life is amazing now.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I was like interpreting that too as like the friendships that she has.
Okay.
But I agree with you.
It's on some level, I just felt like the friendships still were, even though they were long friendships, they still seemed surface to me. And it seemed like there wasn't a lot of actual sharing, and it was a lot of kind of surface level conversation.
I wish that it had been a better mix of that, because I think that's more realistic. It has superficial moments, but it also has, in the next breath, really vulnerable moments.
No, exactly. It's like every moment with your friends is not you sharing like your deepest fear, Dorinda Medley style.
Yes.
Like that would be exhausting, and no one wants that. But I think that true friendships, you do know what your friend is really struggling with, and you have shared. And I just think that for me was like a missing moment. And so when she says like these friendships give me meaning because we've had so much time together, it just rang a little hollow to me because the friendships didn't seem actually that deep or authentic.
Right.
They seemed really based on time. And ultimately, old friends are so important. Like you can never make new old friends again. But on some level, I also just don't know that that's enough to to keep investing in people if the relationships aren't based on true authenticity. So that's my
I think that's a really smart take. I think that's true. And now I can understand why it felt a little bit more hollow to you. I wish that we'd had like another episode to see them like kind of coming through like the drama that happened on the trip and just enjoying being together after they'd like had a little bit of a moment.
Right.
That would have made then I feel like the payoff feel a lot like better.
Yeah. And I just feel like I feel like I don't know, personally as I get older, I just feel like I have less patience for superficial friendshients and friendships that feel like, oh, we just do X, Y, and Z together, but we don't actually really know each other.
But I didn't feel like that was the whole dynamic of them the entire time. I mean, when I say superficial, I meant like, they were a little bit like snide with each other. But I felt like these were women who had been through things together, I guess.
For sure, yeah.
So, I don't know. I liked that part of the entire show.
I mean, their scenes were my favorite part.
It was like the least like caricature. Like the family was so caricature. So was like everyone else to me was so like over the top. Like this is rich people stuff. And then that was just a different subsection of life to like take a closer look at.
No, absolutely. And I think that if he had ended it in a way where there wasn't any moment of vulnerability and they kind of ended, I would have thought, okay, does Mike White just basically hate women?
Yeah.
Does he think women are just so shallow and trite and really only care about surface level stuff and just talk shit about each other behind each other's backs. But I think that ultimately it definitely rounded them out that they had that last scene. Okay. I was very upset, I will say, that we did not see the Ratcliffe family actually reckon with what had happened with the dad, with Timothy. I just felt like a little cheated. Like the fact that we did not see Parker Posey react to this news, to me, it was almost like lazy. Yeah. It was almost like that is going to be the juiciest part of the show. We should have seen that happen in episode 5 and seen the fallout.
I wish I could have seen that just because I want more of the show.
Yeah.
But I don't know that would have, I don't know if that would have been more impactful.
Than him trying to kill everyone?
No. Then like them like riding off on the boat, getting their phones back and just sort of being like, oh my gosh, they're about to be hit with the biggest wave of like, and then the dad saying like things are going to change.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's true.
And I found the moment where, the son accidentally drank the, protein shake from the blender with the poisonous fruit. Like that moment of him dying and then coming back to life or whatever, and the dad finding him, and the fact that he was the only kid that the dad was like, no, you're not going to.
Right.
And I just got the chills. Like, I don't know. I found that whole montage through the end to be like so powerful and sad and dark.
Why? Do you feel like it basically, he like realized the value of life essentially, like, and like the error of his ways?
I think that I think that it gave him, the dad was clearly not well mentally, but I think it was like to think your son is dead and then to have him come back to life. Like you realize like, it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. I have all my kids. All my kids are healthy.
Right.
Literally everyone is alive.
Yeah. Right.
I am spoiled by life. Everyone is alive, and so
I just feel like that was the moment where you see him come to his senses on what is actually important. And maybe he will, survive going to prison or jail for a couple of years or something, or whatever it is going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Let's talk about Piper, because I have a similar tale as Piper. Okay. Did this come to mind at all for you?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So when Piper says that, oh my gosh, the scene where she says that she doesn't actually want to live at the monastery, for me, it came as such a surprise. I really thought that she was going to go live at the monastery.
Right.
Did it surprise you?
Yeah, because the whole season, she has the most different attitude out of all the siblings. Even the younger brother, who you know is not Saxon, like, still wants to party and do drugs. She just, to me, seemed the most sanctified.
Yes. And she seemed to have such a disdain for her family. So it was actually so riveting and I think so true to life to watch her be like, no, I'm actually so much more like my family than I realize.
When Victoria looks over at the husband, I can't remember his name, and she's
Timothy.
Like, and she's just when Victoria looks over at Timothy and she just like gives the thumbs up, like she's just like so smug. It's amazing.
Well, and you watch his face as he's like, oh, damn. Like all of my family basically does not want a life of discomfort. I mean, there's a big difference. You can be a grounded individual and not want to live at a monastery. Yeah. I think that
I don't want to live in a monastery. Well, I consider myself to be grounded.
Well, I would say the jury's out on that.
If I'm grounded or not? I mean, the jury's out for you, but
I'm just kidding. But I just felt like it was very, very funny to watch because I was not expecting it. But it reminded me, so when I was 19, everyone, I was going to go spend a summer in Thailand. You don't remember this?
No.
Okay.
I unfortunately do not keep a Rolodex of your musings.
Okay, well, this was a real plan. I had a flight booked. I was literally going to go work at a school teaching English. My friend had done this.
Doesn't everybody also kind of do this? Doesn't everyone? I mean, I did not, but.
Right. Well, I was going to.
Okay. You had a flight booked.
With whose money? With mom and dad's.
They were down.
They were down. I had planned to spend the summer in Thailand teaching English. And so I remember asking my friend, I was like, what's the AC situation like? No AC. What's the temperature like? Oh, it's like 100 degrees every day. He's like, but it's the buildings kind of self-cool or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So basically what happened is I had told mom and dad I really wanted to do this. They'd already paid for my flight. Like this was fully happening. And long story short, mom and dad 2 weeks before got super freaked out that like I was going to get sex trafficked. And I remember mom specifically said, she was like, I think they watched what is it? The Liam Neeson movie.
Oh, Taken?
They watched Taken. And they're like,
wow.
Mom's like, Dad does not have months to go look for you.
I remember her saying that. I don't remember the story, but I absolutely remember her saying that.
She was like, he has a business to run. He doesn't have months to go looking for you in Thailand.
I love that she's like, that's so funny. It's so mom.
I remember looking into mom's face and being like so crestfallen, so upset. And like, I can't go. And then like walking out of her room and being like, oh my God, thank God. Like I don't have to go to Thailand. I don't have to spend 3 months in 100-degree weather. I could not have been more thrilled that I did not have to go at the end of the day. But I didn't want to pull out because they'd already paid like $3,000 for this trip or whatever.
I mean, that's a nice way to think about, why you didn't want to pull out of the trip. And maybe that was a little bit of it, but I think you also were a very serious person.
Yeah.
And you thought like this was my calling.
No, I never.
I think you were just I
wanted a worldly experience for sure.
Yeah, worldly. Yeah, you wanted.
Why would that not be worldly?
No, it is worldly. But when I think of the word worldly, I think about like diamonds and fast cars.
Oh no, I think about like cultures. That's the difference.
Wow. No, and you did want those experiences. So I think.
I mean, I don't want them anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Yeah. You want them in smaller doses and like Amman.
I would love exactly. I would love an Amman culture experience.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But that's so funny. Your dad does not have months to go look for you.
And I truly was Piper, like being like so happy I didn't actually have to go. And when she's like, I'm so sorry I brought you here. And they're like, it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, I just felt her relief.
Well, what does she say too? She's like the food, it's like the vegetables, like it's like vegetarian and everything, but like you can tell it's not organic.
Oh, and just that there's no AC. So good. So good. Also, I think it's such a classic, honestly, like white girl trope.
Yes.
Where you get a little into like Eastern philosophy. It's very eat, pray, love. It's very, oh, I'm a yogi. But really at heart, you want you want to go to Target. Right. You want to go to Starbucks.
Well, and you know what? I want to be Buddhism curious and also a girl who goes to Target.
Yeah, you want to.
I can be both.
1,000,000%. Oh my gosh.
Didn't you have a Buddhism like phase?
I did. I had a Buddhism phase.
What happened?
I just got attached to samsara again, to pleasure.
Oh. Yeah. I'm like, who's samsara?
Buddhism is really useful when things are really going rough. And I think that, should that happen again, and as I'm sure it will, I will return to those texts.
Okay. Okay. I almost feel like that jinxes it.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like, I only like Buddhism when the chips are down.
Well, the tenets of Buddhism are your pain is a result of your attachment. So it's like if Ben perished, it's like, well, you're too attached to Ben.
Got it.
You shouldn't need other people. Like, you shouldn't need the world of pleasures. You should only need, your mind to experience joy.
That's something you could take to heart though with your scrolling.
No, I know for sure. There's a middle ground.
Also, I will say I love, and I'd heard of this before, but I love the way that like death and the afterlife are thought about in Buddhism.
Which is reincarnation.
Like just like what the monk says, where it's like you're a drop of water and you're just returned, to the sea, the water,
When people talk about their NDEs, that kind of is what they describe.
Yeah. So, and I
could be onto something.
I like that.
Pop Apologists is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
let's get back to subject matter that's more, in our depth. Why are Taylor and Travis hiding?
That's a great question.
We haven't seen them in a while.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Do you think she's pregnant?
I just feel like she's a girly who doesn't want to do that out of wedlock.
True.
Like,
she's traditional.
She's traditional queen.
Also, I just think that she would be fully controlling. No, actually, I take it back. She's 35. I bet you if she accidentally got pregnant, there's no way she's not keeping that baby.
Yeah. And maybe that would be crazy.
She is pregnant.
She's pregnant.
That is why we haven't seen her. Because here's what I was going to say. Oh my gosh. It's all coming to me.
What?
I'm having a vision.
Okay.
Literally, I should do readings.
You've yet to say anything.
I was going to say that she was so visible with Travis when they were doing all the pop walks and like going to dinners in New York City. We were constantly seeing her because she was promoting the Eras tour, basically. Like, he was playing football and she was doing the tour, and she wanted, Tree wanted the headlines to
stay relevant.
Yeah, to stay relevant, keep the hype going. But now they just want privacy. But no, I don't think they just want privacy now. And I don't think it's just about resting. I think there's a bun in that oven.
I don't think so.
For example, we only saw her from behind when she went to dinner in Utah.
In Park City or whatever?
Yeah, in Park City.
I don't know.
I'm looking this up. I mean, you guys, it is Tuesday, April 8th at 11:39 a.m.
You're making the prediction.
I'm the first to call it. This woman, there will be
text our group text right now.
A child will be born unto her and Travis.
Thank you for your prediction. I don't believe it. I think that they are just being low key, and I think this demonstrates that there's like a real relationship there, and that they actually just like being together out of the public eye.
Okay. Well, I think she's hiding a pregnancy. Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell, everyone. So Sydney Sweeney has, quote, broken her silence on rumors she's dating co-star Glenn Powell. Have you heard this?
Yes.
So following reports that her wedding had been called off, Sydney was spotted hanging out with her Anyone But You co-star Glenn Powell. Fans have long suspected that there could be something romantic between the pair after witnessing their chemistry on screen. Now, according to a source who spoke to the actress at the Hollywood Beauty Awards on Sunday, Sydney remained coy about the dating rumors. The insider told the U.S. Sun, someone she knew came up to talk to her and they seemed friendly. The person asked if Sydney was actually dating Glenn, and she said she hoped she was. Sydney laughed and played super coy, and at one point even gave a flirty wink. She wouldn't say it one way or the other, but she did say she was, quote, having a lot of fun.
I mean, you do not invite someone to a wedding as your date unless you're trying to, unless your intentions aren't pure.
Well, apparently she is friends with his sister. I'm sorry, but how often do you become friends with a male just friend's sister?
Almost never.
Almost never.
So I'm into this. I'm so into the fact that she's done with the other guy, and she's like fully on with Glenn Powell, who's so cute. I always kind of scratched my head at her and the other guy. He was 14 years older than her.
No, she was 19. He was 33 when they first got together.
She's in the spring of her amazing career, and maybe the relationship just no longer served her. And if I can reach back into the, chronicles of my life, I remember I was dating someone who was much older than me. I broke up with my older boyfriend, much older boyfriend, right before I was on the brink of just like a new chapter with like my life and, career choices and that kind of thing. And I don't know. I'm so proud of her. I feel like it's so brave to especially break off an engagement. And it just, I'm stoked.
I mean, the guy she was dating was a Hollywood producer, and she started dating him when she was really early on in her career, like you said, like had really not much going on. All of a sudden she blows up. There's something about that 14-year age gap when you're 19, he's 33, and it's in Hollywood. It just gives yuck to me, to be honest.
Can I also just say my own experience? I was 19 and he was 31.
And here's the thing about it. It feels hot to you when you're 19.
Sure.
But then you look back at it and you're like, that was actually kind of gross.
Fully gross.
And I'm sorry, but I'm I'm feeling the Victoria Ratliff again at her. Like, you are young, you are beautiful. Why are you with this middle-aged weirdo?
Come to Durham.
She says, come to North Carolina.
They're from Durham.
Sydney is in North Carolina. Sydney took her advice. Sydney is in North Carolina right now with hot af Glenn Powell.
Yeah.
And you know what I like about this a lot?
What?
This is a looks-matched couple.
Yeah, it's absolutely looks-matched couple.
And for me, when a woman is really successful and she's not in a looks-matched relationship, I think it's bad for other women.
I'm gonna not name names, but I saw a video, a reel of somebody in a situation like this, and I had a similar pit in my stomach.
There's a billionaire singer who's engaged, and it doesn't, for me, I just don't understand.
Oh.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. And I know. I mean,
or we're just saying now she's only engaged? You're talking about the father of her children.
Oh, are they pregnant?
Who are you talking about? I'm talking about Taylor Swift.
Oh my gosh, you don't think that Taylor and Travis are looks matched?
I do think they're. I think they're. I think they're a 75% looks matched.
Yeah, I'm talking about when it's like very clearly not looks matched.
I hear you with.
You're never gonna find a 9.7 and a 9.7 that go together.
Right.
Like, there's got to be only two standard deviations away from the mean. For me, I just see that and I'm like, girl, this is like, why?
So there's like interviews coming out with them talking about their relationship. He seems like a really, really sweet guy. And he's also very talented. I don't know. I'm not as like grossed out by this. I'm not icked out.
I'm not icked out, but it's just, there's just something, you know what it does? It validates an idea that women like don't really care about a man's appearance. And I just feel like you're
anti that.
I'm anti that. Like, as a very visual woman, I just feel like that's a very weird patriarchal norm. That's been created.
True.
And
because like, if a man was in that situation, it would be like, wow, he's a saint.
Yeah, people would be up in arms in the same way that they're up in arms about Jeff and Lauren. You know, people really are so angry he's not dating someone since he's a billionaire that they feel like he should be dating.
I feel like they're quite suited.
Well, people are very mean about her.
People are mean about her, and I stand firm that I'm into it.
Yeah, you're a stan.
I'm a stan. Okay, let's move on though, because there were two podcasts that we listened to in preparation for today's episode. Okay. Two podcasts that were not our own. But I've got thoughts about both of them.
Yes, we listened to two podcasts. The first was Confessions of a Female Founder by Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Sussex.
By Lemonada.
Produced by Lemonada. I'm going to be honest. Pleasantly surprised.
I liked it.
I liked it too. I felt like it was casual. It wasn't like her being like, okay, and your seed A round when you did X, Y, or Z. Not that she couldn't ask really, gritty questions and go there, but I just felt like it felt really natural.
Yes. And
it felt like they were actually sharing. It felt very unedited.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say, first of all, that I had a very Meghan Markle morning because I woke up, my body woke me up naturally early.
Yeah.
I threw in a loaf of sourdough and I turned on Confessions of a Female Founder.
Incredible.
And as my bread was baking, I was absorbing the wisdom from this. And I think that it was the most conversational that we've seen her be, and especially in this long of a format. And I think like she was talking about ideas and themes, but not in a platitude-like way, not in a I'm teaching you a lesson way. It was just more natural is the word, what you said is true. And I don't really listen to a lot of self-help aspirational content in podcast form. I'm listening to literally try not to feel car sick. I need escapism. I don't want to think about how I'm going to be an amazing mom. Because I say that because Ben listens to whatever Dr. Becky, have you seen that
No.
woman who's she's a child therapist.
Okay, no.
Anyway, she has I think she has a podcast or she definitely has a book, and Ben's always listening, sending me stuff from Dr. Becky. And our kids aren't even born or made yet.
Wait, that is so cute. And it's about raising children.
Yes, it's about raising children. Yes. Literally.
You really need to marry this man.
I'm trying to. But I'm always just, and that's what he'll be listening to, in the car or something. I'm just I want to listen to Juicy Scoop. But so all that is to say, I liked this and I was into it and I found some nuggets that were helpful for me. And I thought Whitney was really great as like a first guest. It started off really strong. And it made me think about our own business. You know, she talks about how she would have done things differently in her journey. You know, Whitney was worked at Tinder and then she started Bumble. And I don't know, there were nuggets that I pulled away that I was like, oh, I want to talk to Lauren about this. I think about like the fact that she said, you know, she wishes that she had spent less time worrying about what other shoe was going to drop because she would have been she would have done things better.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's a lesson that I want to like take for myself, is like less worrying about the future and more just doing.
Yeah. Right,
you know,
right.
less like fraught, if that's the word. And I think also just, you know, she talks about that moment where the stocks were like at an all-time low for Bumble. But she said, you know, she was like, I wanted to like take a moment and like document that day for me because I was my happiest.
Interesting.
I don't know if you got to that part.
I didn't get to that part.
Basically,
no.
she talks about how, you know, she was at her, not like, I don't think she was in dire straits financially, but the company was not doing well. I think this is also this is in the last few years or something. So it's not like when she was in build mode as much, but the company wasn't doing super great, but she was like, my children are healthy. I have a wonderful relationship with my husband. Today I hiked and I meditated. And she was just like, just saying that, I don't know, just that, you know, and then she talks about a time where she was like on the cover of Time or something. It was like the first female billionaire or something. Okay. And she was like, I was also at my lowest there, you know? So I don't know, just like finding balance and maybe, you know, trying not to let all of your like mental and just, you know, personal care go in the search for money.
Oh, interesting. She said she was at her lowest during the Forbes cover.
I'm really paraphrasing, but she just said that like she used those two moments as like an inverse of each other. Where she was like, when I, you know, Meghan talks about her being on the cover of whatever was the first female billionaire. Yeah, and she says it's just funny because like at that moment, you know, I was waking up every day and just like instantly just like work. All of my life was work. And then, you know, then I think about this moment when the stocks were at an all-time low in the last couple of years, and I was the happiest I'd ever been. So that's all.
Yeah, no
nuggets.
No, total nuggets. I mean, I like the nugget where she talked about how basically she can have meetings in the carpool line. Like you can have the same thoughts and absolutely take a meeting, and you don't need to be at your desk. You know, you can just insist that you're going to be in the car or whatever. I feel like that was just like a good practical takeaway. Right. It's Meghan really, I think, shined. I think that the episodes should have been on video. I was disappointed to not see a YouTube, but you know what? She'll get there. This has given me a lot more faith in Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, as an empire builder. And my hope is in 5 years, Meghan has a really booming business, a really great podcast. We get a lot of clothes and outfit pics from her. Yeah. And you know what? We're colleagues. We're colleagues in all this, Meg.
Absolutely.
Instagram, podcast, shilling the links. We're just basically two duchesses over here.
It's reminding me, I saw a clip of Luann from early New York where, you know, Bethany introduces her as Luann to the driver. It's like, you know, it's a sign of respect. Like, you know, the Countess, like Mrs. de Lesseps. And anyway. Oh my gosh. It's so good. Yeah, so I'm really happy about it. I'm planning on leaving a 5-star review also because I just feel like we have uttered a lot of our thoughts about Meghan Markle into the world, and I would like, you know, to leave a positive thought about her in a place that she might see.
We're going to clip some of this positivity because boy, do we need it on the internet.
I know. Yeah, we are.
And by clip it, I mean like put
clip.
No, not clip it out of the show, but put a clip of it on Instagram. Also, let's talk about another podcast.
Yes, I also sent you Erin and Abe Lichy's podcast. Because I saw that it came out and I follow her on Instagram and I was like, oh, I'm curious about this.
What's the title?
The title is Come Together. That title is too much for me.
It's about sex and relationships.
I think that, you know, they lose me a little bit with the title, but they got me everywhere else.
Well, this is what I want to say. When you first sent it to me, it was kind of an eye roll. I was just like, ugh, I don't know. Because I felt like on the show, they were a little bit like, he was a little bit, I don't know. You know what? It's an internal thing, but I think we all feel this way. We just don't want to hear about married people who are like talking about how hot their sex is. Well, let me just finish.
Oh, and I agree with you.
Right? It's just, it comes off as a little smug. It's just a little gross. It's like, we're happy to hear about single people and all the sex they're having, but all of a sudden when it's a married couple, I'm just not interested.
I think
kind of grossed out.
It was like, you know, I guess it's been not on for 2 seasons now, but it was the first season. This is our first impression of these people. And all we're kind of hearing about is like how much they, you know, get it on.
Right.
I think like that was where it was just like, what? Like, if I met someone new off the street and that's what they talked about all the time, like I would be, you know, off put by that or put off.
Right.
I don't know, either or. I wish now, listening to their podcast, getting to know them together for 45 minutes, I wish they would have led with some of that, because there's so much more to their relationship. And I just really like loved hearing about their early days and what they've been through together and their story about like how young they were when they met. Like there's a lot of richness to their relationship. And now I'm like, I love it.
Well, I feel like it just goes to show the way the producers and the editors on Bravo, it's more interesting for them to make a caricature out of sometimes the cast and show their worst moments. They only have so much time to fill airtime. They need to keep viewers watching. So they're less, you know, the need is less to really flesh out each person as they are and show who they are. It's more to make a great 43 minutes. For me, I felt, so when I went in to listen to the podcast, I was, you know, not necessarily thinking I was going to be loving this, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I felt like they were so authentic. I felt like them sharing about their partying young days, also basically saying, I mean, to say on a podcast as parents of children,
3-4 kids,
that, you know, you don't have to stop partying, essentially, that you can still, you know, she says a month after she's giving birth, she wants to go see this DJ in Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a kind of, I think, joie de vivre that's important. It's important for people to feel like they can still go have fun in life, and that they don't have to be solely parents once they're parents, and their whole personalities don't have to change, all of that. Like, I loved the conversation.
I completely agree. That was my biggest takeaway, was seeing like how fun they are together and how much fun they have together. Like I feel like they have fun together. Yeah. And that's like, I want my relationship to always be like that. And they do. They clearly still do. Obviously they've been through tough times and they get into that. They talk about, you know, a time when Abe gained a lot of weight and like just, they were pretty raw.
Well, and they talk about how, you know, apparently it was so funny because they are like talking about how much they endorse doing LSD and how helpful it is. Or like, it's like a year of therapy and it's basically free in comparison. And they're like, yeah. And after after this amazing experience, he said, you know, I quit my job as a corporate attorney. We started that handbag line and it failed. And they're like, maybe don't do LSD actually. Then we had no money.
It was so funny.
It's very candid.
And I couldn't believe too that, you know, they met when she was 23.
Yeah.
They got pregnant when she was 27. Like, she really was like a young bride.
Very young.
I don't actually know when they even got married, but I know they met at 23. And yeah, I love hearing stories about people who have been together for a very long time and whose friendship is still thriving. Yeah. Or who's you know, the fun that they can have together is still like there.
You know what I felt like was really valuable for them to admit was how sometimes you can just have like basically they say that some sex in a marriage, it can be transactional. Like, it can be a situation where someone just wants to have sex and the other person maybe doesn't feel up for the full experience. Yeah. But it can be a wham bam thank you ma'am type of situation in a healthy marriage of consenting adults, and that can just be a dynamic or something that happens every once in a while. Yeah. And I felt like that is also like quite the thing to admit.
Totally. It's like it's not, I mean, I didn't find that to be as like vulnerable, because I feel like that's just like everyone kind of knows that, I guess. Like, that just like there are a range of experiences that you have that can be extremely romantic and, you know, thoughtful and blah 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 blah, and then there are times that are just more about, you know, this is just like a thing that we do.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know, I just explicitly saying that you're just yourselves on a show. I felt like it was vulnerable.
Honestly, the way that they talked about like that one time where they were like partying, and I like was laughing out loud. They were talking about how they were partying somewhere and they're with all their friends, and I think they were on some type of drug, because they said like they were hearing these like noises outside the window, and they're like, what is that club? We gotta go down there.
So funny.
And then like after a few hours they realized like that it was just like the sounds of like the traffic in the street.
I think they said it was the wind.
And the wind, yeah. And I loved also, to go back to what you briefly brought up about, you know, him saying, I don't think I can be a corporate lawyer. And he was very early on into his career. So he like quit that and just, I don't know, trusting in your partner and being like, we'll figure it out. Even if Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
and she talks about how when she got pregnant, she really kind of got pregnant because her friend got pregnant. And it wasn't this big thing and they had no money really. And there wasn't a lot of thought put into it. And it's like so the opposite of the way I feel like I'm looking at having a baby. And so many of my friends, it's like, we need to make sure we have X, Y, and Z and can afford, full, like we can afford all the help we need. And it's just like, everything's going to be so fine. And the way they kind of went about it in a much more like old school kind of we'll figure it out type of way. And it was inspiring and really cute.
It made me think about how I want to have a baby, maybe now a touch sooner after listening to this, because like the fact when she talks about how like all of her friends, it was like it was all her friends' baby too, because like none of her friends had babies. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I want that. Like I want have that moment with my friends in New York.
Also, I do think that one baby is so much different than two, like they said. Like 2 or 3 is such a different ballgame than one baby. I mean, you remember when Courtney just had James? Yeah. It was like, it was truly so chill. Yeah. You guys, Sephora is having a big sale right now. So we are going to share what we are buying. I am just re-upping on the things that I'm obsessed with and use every day and run out of. So I'm just truly restocking. I'm getting a blush brush from Westman Atelier. I'm getting I love the Westman Atelier mascara. Mine is the I Want You mascara. I think it's just their black color. My favorite concealer is this Tarte concealer. It's the creaseless concealer. I get it in 33N medium. My only makeup will be this with this gel cream burst moisturizer. This has become a holy grail product for me. I got it gifted and I cannot live without it. I actually think it's you have your sunscreen you love. I think this is just as good, if not better. For me, it just goes on and it gives me that instant like Paris filter glow.
Love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a little bit more, it's more gel than creamy.
Yes.
And so I think it's just a preference thing. But I love it. I keep it in my bag.
I have dry skin. So I think it just ultra hydrates me. Yeah. So I absolutely love it. It's the Versed Good Defense Gel Cream Moisturizer. So I'm just re-upping on the basics, everyone. Oh, and I'm going to get another lip glow oil from Christian Dior. I actually stole this one from Chandler.
Yeah, I would love to have that back.
Well,
maybe buy me one.
They are having a sale.
I'm going to go ham with Makeup by Mario because I love everything that I've ever bought from his line. And I just recently bought a blush that I love. And so I kind of want to get a full suite of like products. Right now I only have the bronzer and I have a blush and I want more.
You've loved everything from Makeup by Mario.
Yes. Yeah. I like it all because everything's very like creamy.
Okay.
I love the texture of everything. Last time I went to Sephora, they were out of a lot. And so anyway, I want to go pick up a smattering of Makeup by Mario. Also, the Living Proof Dry Shampoo, the Advanced Clean, is the best in my opinion. I also got the Huda Beauty color corrector, and I think that's amazing.
Okay.
I was using the Charlotte Tilbury one before, but I think the Huda one is better. I've been getting really good at doing my own makeup.
Yeah, well, you do a really good job of your own makeup. You gave me some really good tips. The girl who did my makeup for the shoot at my apartment, I felt like I literally had not just a filter on, but I felt like I had the Mariana Hewart California filter on that like tweaked my features actually. I was like, whoa. And she does lessons. I kind of want to have her come over, do a lesson, and I'll put it on YouTube.
I want to be there. I want a lesson. Yeah. Okay. I would like one.
So I think we might just do a YouTube lesson. That could be just like a bonus thing. You guys, thank you so much for being listeners. We love you so much. Global Elites will be back on Friday with a mini episode, and then on Monday with a full premium Global Elites episode, and then we'll be back next week on Wednesday. Of course, everyone, just as we started, we will always have a free full weekly episode for you. Thank you so much for listening, and with that, catch you next time.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.